You are being watched, right now. Even as you go about your daily life, there are eyes on you that you never see, and watchers you never knew existed. Surveillance isn't just a concept from spy movies or dystopian novels, it's a reality woven into the fabric of modern society. Every move you make, every transaction you complete, leaves a digital footprint, and for millions of Americans, that footprint is far more detailed than you might imagine. If you've ever bought a firearm in America, there's a record of it, meticulously documented and stored. The process may seem routine, just a form, a signature, a quick background check. But what happens to that information after you leave the store? Most people assume it disappears into a filing cabinet, never to be seen again. But the truth is, it's not gathering dust in a forgotten warehouse. Instead, your information is digitized, cataloged, and preserved in vast data centers, places designed to keep records alive forever. These aren't just stacks of paper, they're living databases, constantly updated and cross-referenced. Instead, it's part of a vast, sophisticated system built to track law-abiding gun owners. This system is more advanced than most people realize, using cutting-edge technology to connect the dots between millions of transactions, names, and addresses. The federal government, through the ATF, has quietly compiled the largest database of gun owners in U.S. history, while insisting no such registry exists. Officially, they claim it's not a registry, but the sheer scale and detail of the data tell a different story. Politicians promise to uphold the Second Amendment, vowing to protect your rights and privacy. They speak of freedom and liberty, assuring the public that no one is keeping tabs on law-abiding citizens. But behind the scenes, the gears of bureaucracy have been turning. Quietly, methodically, agencies have built a machine that never sleeps, processing and storing information on millions of Americans who have done nothing wrong. Nearly 1 billion records of firearm transactions have been collected, targeting people who have broken no laws. These records include names, addresses, and details of every purchase, creating a map of gun ownership across the country. This story will reveal how this system was built, the laws bent, and the promises broken. We'll uncover the secret history of how ordinary paperwork became a tool for mass surveillance, and the quiet expansion of government power that few have noticed. The question isn't if you're being watched, it's what will be done with this information. The watchers are real, and their reach is growing. What happens when data meant for safety becomes a tool for control? Their gaze is fixed on you. In a world where privacy is fading, it's time to ask, who is watching the watchers, and what will they do next? How did the government quietly assemble a database containing nearly 1 billion records of gun purchases, tracking the details of who bought what and when? The answer is both simple and astonishing, revealing a story that stretches back decades and involves a web of laws, loopholes, and relentless data collection. It all began with paper. Whenever a gun store goes out of business, federal law requires that all of its sales records, every transaction, every background check, every detail, must be boxed up and sent to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives, or ATF. These records, which might seem insignificant on their own, are the building blocks of something much larger. For years, these paper records simply accumulated, gathering dust in a massive West Virginia facility. Row after row, shelf after shelf, the files piled up, forming a vast analog archive that few people outside the government even knew existed. It was a physical monument to decades of American gun ownership, quietly growing larger with every store closure. But the ATF had bigger ambitions. They saw the potential in these mountains of paper, and they were eager to bring them into the digital age. With the rise of computers and scanning technology, the agency began the painstaking process of digitizing millions upon millions of records, transforming a dusty warehouse into a searchable electronic database. As the years went by, the pace only accelerated. More gun stores closed, more records arrived, and the paper flood became a tsunami. Some of these records date back decades, capturing the history of gun sales across generations. Each box, each file added another layer to a growing library that now holds the details of who bought what and when, stretching back through time. Officially, the ATF says these records are used to help trace guns found at crime scenes, providing leads for law enforcement. But the reality is that the database has grown far beyond its original purpose. It now contains information on millions of law-abiding Americans. People who have never committed a crime, but whose names and purchases are now part of a vast government archive. With over 900 million records and counting, this database has become a de facto registry of gun owners, created without a single vote in Congress, and without most Americans even realizing it was happening. It's a silent record of private citizens, built in the shadows. How did this happen? The ATF found a loophole. While federal law prohibits the creation of a national gun registry, the agency sidestepped this restriction by collecting out-of-business records. By piecing together these fragments, they built the registry they were never allowed to create directly. One box, one file at a time. Piece by piece, box by box, year after year, the ATF assembled a surveillance tool of unimaginable power. Each record is a thread, and together they form a web that can be searched, analyzed, and used to track the history of firearms and the people who own them. Make no mistake, this wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate strategy, carefully executed over decades. The creation of this database was the plan all along, hidden in plain sight. Today, the billion-record database stands as the ATF's primary achievement, a digital monument to surveillance, built quietly, methodically, and without public debate. Its existence raises profound questions about privacy, oversight, and the future of gun rights in America. Imagine a billion paper records, mountains of documents stacked in boxes, lining endless rows of shelves and overflowing from file cabinets in government offices across the country. For decades, these records were nearly impossible to manage. They were useless if you couldn't search them quickly. Officers and agents would spend hours, sometimes days, sifting through endless piles of paperwork, hoping to find a single name or serial number buried in the chaos. The ATF's initial system was painfully slow. Agents had to dig through heavy boxes and squint at microfilm reels, a process that could take days or even weeks. It was a tedious, manual effort that often led to dead ends. But then, technology changed everything. The ATF began scanning millions of records, using advanced document scanners and optical character recognition software to convert paper into searchable digital files. Suddenly, what was once locked away in dusty archives became accessible with just a few keystrokes. Now agents could instantly find names, serial numbers, and addresses in seconds, information that used to take days to uncover. The power of search transformed their work, making investigations faster and more efficient than ever before. Despite strict laws prohibiting the creation of a centralized, searchable gun registry, the ATF found a workaround. By arguing that scanned images weren't technically a database, they built a system that functioned just like one, sidestepping legal restrictions while achieving their goal. But let's be honest, if you can search it, it's a registry in all but name. The line between a digital archive and a searchable database has all but disappeared. Today, nearly all records are digitized and instantly accessible from secure government facilities. The transformation is nearly complete. What was once a slow, manual process is now a high-speed digital dragnet, capable of sweeping up information in moments. The pace and scale of investigations have changed forever. The ATF's goal was always quick, comprehensive searching, making sure no detail slipped through the cracks. With digital power, that vision is now a reality. Now your data fuels a sleek, modern surveillance machine, one that never sleeps, always searching, and always watching. The era of paper piles is over. Digital power is here to stay. The government claims this database is for tracking violent criminals. In reality, most searches have nothing to do with violent crime. Traces are run for found firearms, stolen guns, paperwork errors, and even inherited weapons. Each search adds more data, mapping gun ownership, even when no crime is involved. The system has evolved into a general-purpose tool for monitoring gun owners. Mission creep has turned a crime-fighting tool into an all-seeing eye. Law-abiding citizens are scrutinized for routine reasons, not just public safety. The promise was broken. Now, everyone is watched. Out-of-business records are just one data stream. The ATF also collects data through warrantless inspections of active gun stores. Agents can copy logbooks or demand digital records, no warrant needed. This turns every gun store into a potential data outpost. Digital systems, like E444473, create a direct pipeline to the government. The move to digital isn't just about convenience, it's about efficient surveillance. The ATF grabs records from the past and present, exploiting every legal and technological loophole. They're building a cradle-to-grave history of every firearm transaction. The federal government isn't alone. Many states are partners. State gun registries and red flag laws create new pools of data, easily shared with federal agencies. States like California and New York have compiled registries for years, feeding the federal system. Information sharing agreements blur the lines between state and federal databases. Red flag laws add even more data, flagging individuals before any crime is committed. The result, a vast, interconnected web of surveillance. Gun owners may think their info is local, but it's just one agreement away from federal hands. The fiction of no national registry is just that, fiction. The database isn't just static, it's getting smarter. AI and facial recognition are transforming it into an active surveillance tool. AI can flag people based on purchase patterns or cross-reference gun data with travel, social media, or finances. This creates a pre-crime system where algorithms, not laws, decide who's suspicious. Facial recognition can link gun owners to political rallies or protests, chilling free speech. These technologies are here now, not in the distant future. Combined with the database, they create a system of social control. The machines are rising, and they're aimed at your rights. Your data doesn't just stay in the US. It goes global. The ATF shares firearm trace info with foreign governments and agencies like Interpol. Through systems like eTrace, dozens of countries can access US gun purchase data. A gun you bought legally could put your info in the hands of a government that doesn't respect your rights. This data sharing, meant to fight arms trafficking, has profound privacy implications. Safeguards are unclear, and your information can be exported without your knowledge. The surveillance network is global, not just domestic. Your trust in the system is quietly betrayed across borders. Let's sum up. The ATF has built the largest gun owner database in US history, nearly 1 billion records, by exploiting loopholes and digitizing decades of sales. This system is used for far more than violent crime. It tracks law-abiding citizens for routine reasons. Warrantless inspections, state registries, and red flag laws feed the database, creating a comprehensive surveillance system. AI and facial recognition supercharge it, and your data is shared worldwide. All this, while officials insist there's no national registry. The evidence is undeniable. The system is built, digitized, intelligent, and global. They created what they swore they never would. So, do you feel safer or betrayed? The choice is yours.